You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Howdy, howdy, and welcome to another wonderful trash take. I know I haven't been making any videos recently, but that's because I've been out sick and my throat's been kind of shot, so that'll be back on the up and now. But Trump's been absolutely popping off. He had a really banger speech yesterday, or 2 days ago, talking about all of the crime and all the people he's been getting arrested and Operation Midsummer Heater with Kash Patel, and it was actually a very good speech, but it was about an hour long. And then yesterday, he had another banger speech with Melania talking about IVF treatment and bringing down the overall drug prices in America. I personally don't like big pharmacists and big lobbyists making sure that I have to pay the most amount of money whenever I do need to actually buy drugs for once in my life to save my life. And I've even noticed, and I'll shout Gavin Newsom, it seems like this is a bipartisan effort because now Newsom's also launched insulin for like $20 in the state of California, though apparently it costs $16 for a vial in Florida, and it costs more in California because of the taxes the government's putting on top to help stipulate. I don't know. I'm going off what people said on Twitter. All I know is Gavin Newsom's made that announcement recently, and Trump also has Trump RX coming out soon for basically all drugs are going to be the same price as what we're paying abroad, or as drugs abroad cost. It's not going to be any more expensive. Trump's basically saying you're going to charge us the same, or you're not going to be able to do business in the United States. And I'm glad, because I know we do pay more for drugs here. We have capitalism, and when everything's heavily supplemented by the government, which the drug industry and the hospitals in America are, they charge you out the ass because they know the government will cover it if you can. And that's their whole game plan. That's what they've been doing. And I'm finally glad to see you no longer get screwed, because I was a very sickly kid, funny enough. I had to go to the hospital a lot. And when I grew up, I basically realized, holy shit, I cost my parents so much money going to the hospital because I just kept getting fucking injured. I'm not even just sick. I did get real sick one time, but I also like shattered my ankle too. So that was a pretty cool instance of me going to the hospital for a few years, trying to tell them my ankles broke, and they just kept telling me it was a sprain. And then we went to a specialist after like 4 years of me going to the hospital like once every 4 months. And then basically he took one look at an x-ray and said, yeah, your bone that's here, it's supposed to be like right there. Your bone's here in your muscle. That's why your ankle's fucked. Anyways, it's enough ranting about my childhood and why I hate doctors so much, because doctors are retarded now. And we're going to focus on Trump, and it looks like he's trying to end the war in Ukraine. He apparently had a good conversation with Zelensky yesterday as well on phone, and it sounds like Putin. He had a good conversation with Putin on the phone, and it sounds like Putin's ready to maybe make a deal. And I mean, this has been an embarrassment for Russia. Russia should have steamrolled Ukraine. They're like a tenth of the size, but they've been absolutely shit-stomped. And for a dictator like Putin, that's pretty bad to bring home to your country. If you don't get a win in something like this, you've only sent your troops out there to die, and you look weak to the entire world. And communism doesn't tolerate weakness or weak leaders. They eat them alive, and then someone else is put on top of the new communism pot, and everyone else falls under their reign and gets killed, because every time communism takes over, there's like mass deaths in history. Look at Mao. Anyways, enough about communism and retardation. We're talking about Ukraine today. I did want to say that it looks like fucking Hamas is refusing the term limits of what was going on with Israel. I did see that as well. I had someone in one of my comment sections when I made the video of Trump finally into the war with Hamas, rightfully so, say, hey, there was just a mass execution of people in Gaza, because Hamas is supposed to be disarming. Instead, they're executing all other terrorist organizations and trying to gain all power for themselves. But they just released all the last bit of hostages, so I don't really know what their game plan is here or why they're executing other people. So Trump put a big tweet out on Truth Social as well, saying if you don't disarm, you will be unilaterally destroyed by every nation, so disarm now or get fucked. Waiting to see what actually happens there. I'm kind of not surprised. You try to give an entire country to a terrorist organization that's been running on fear and weapons, and now you're telling them you can't do that anymore. Yeah, I mean, I want peace, but Hamas has got to go. I think that's the only way it's going to work. But let's see what Trump has to say about Zelensky.
Cabinet members are good. If they're doing a good job, we'll let them come, along with some others, right? We're going to have a good time. December 5th. Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor to be with a very strong leader, a man who has been through a lot, and a man who I've gotten to know very well, and we've gotten along really very well. And we had a big call yesterday, as you know, with President Putin, and we'll be talking about it. President Zelensky of Ukraine has endured a lot. I mean, he really has. He's endured a lot, and we've endured it with him. To be honest, it's been a long time, and I think we're making great progress. So we're going to be talking about that today. We'll be talking about what took place yesterday with my phone call with President Putin. And I think that things
Trump puts all the shit on Truth Social, so.
It began with Alaska, where I think certain guidelines were discussed, and we want to see if we can get this.
The funniest thing about that Alaska meeting, there are so many Democrat leaning social media influencers that were saying that Trump needs to execute Putin right then and there, fucking murder him in cold blood. And these are the same Democrats that are getting mad when ICE is deploying tear gas to stop citizens from throwing bricks at them. Wanting Trump to execute a world leader immediately when he stepped on American soil, which was fucking crazy. The same people that are saying, guys, you can't do illegal stuff. He's a dictator. And then here's him doing this, like, please kill him, please, dictator, please kill him. Fucking feral retards on the internet.
This was long ago into the Biden administration. I came here and we inherited this, and we'd like to see if we could finish it, end it. We want it ended. So many people have died in this war.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get it.
The worst thing to come about this Ukrainian conflict, I say the worst thing, obviously the death. Second worst thing is seeing modern warfare now is just drones and people getting blown up before they can even step out of a vehicle from a drone that's been watching them for miles in the sky without any noise or sound or any notification. And I mean, it's the most effective warfare, so I'm not surprised. It's just terrifying to think that that's the future of everything. That's what it amounts to. All future combat will be just brutally murdering someone before they even have a chance to fire a shot. Because, like, to be honest, I think being a fucking knight, going back to the Middle Ages, fighting for your kingdom, that shit sounded cool. Obviously extremely bloody and terrifying, but fighting someone up close to the sword always sounds much better than just pulling a trigger from a mile away, to me personally. My preference for war, close quarters.
Ended, so I just want to thank you all very much. If you have a couple of questions, go ahead, please. In fact, before I do that, let me just ask the president to say a few words. Thank you, President.
Oh shit, they actually have Zelensky there.
Glad to meet you again.
Is he in a black suit?
Thank you.
He's in a black suit. Oh shit. So Zelensky always wore fatigues to show that he's one of the men fighting with the military. And now this time he showed up in a fucking suit. Because Trump made a shit show of it last time he didn't, to be fair.
Very much for the invitation. Again, my congratulations with your successful
Trump and
in
Vance.
the Middle East.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you did it. And I think this is the momentum to finish Russia's war against Ukraine. I think that, yes, we understand that Putin is not ready. I think not ready, but I think that I'm confident that with your help, we can stop this war. And we really need it. We see that they don't have successful steps on the battlefield, and it's good. I think that their army is weak now, but a lot of.
I think the weaker Putin's army gets, the more he's willing to step forward and have a negotiation. So I don't want infinite troops to Ukraine, but if that's what it'll take in the short term to get rid of this conflict, I think that's the only play Trump can do, and I think that's what he's been doing.
They have a lot of losses. And
dude, they changed the UI for YouTube. It's fucking god-awful now. Have y'all seen this shit?
This is very important moment, and I wanted to thank you, Mr. President, after our phone calls. Yesterday I had a good opportunity to meet with the big American energy companies, and they're ready to help us. Yes, after all these attacks on our
what do you mean big energy?
Russian attacks and etc. And I had also meetings, thanks to your team. We had meetings with a good military companies. We spoke about air defense, and I want to share it.
They did bro so dirty, pointing the camera right above his head where he's got a bald spot. They did him so dirty putting him there.
After, with details where we are. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Very good. And I think it looks beautiful in his jacket.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I hope people.
Okay, good. Trump at least calls out that he put a jacket on this time. See, he's a humble man. He's only an asshole 50% of the time. The other 50% of the time, he's humble. He's either complimenting you or insulting you, and there's no in between with him.
Well, notice it's actually very stylish. I like it.
President Trump.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Under the Biden administration, the White House was fearing of the
Something about the Biden administration.
We're not allowing the Ukrainians to strike into Russia, fearing of
Ukrainian strike into Russia.
Would your administration allow Ukraine?
I mean, Ukraine did. They had the whole drone episode where they took a bunch of drones and hit a bunch of like critical sites around Russian infrastructure. And everyone's like, yo, what the fuck? And that was like the 2 days after Zelensky went to the White House to try to talk peace, then did a strike with drones inside Russia.
To strike deep into Russia.
We're going to be talking about that. That's something we'll be talking about. You're right. It's an escalation, but we'll be talking about that.
Mr. President, Mr. President Zelensky joined you in Hungary to meet President Putin.
Because it's a leader that we like. We like Viktor Orban. He likes him. I like him. It's a country that's a safe country. He's done a very good job. He's been a very good leader in the sense of running his country. He doesn't have a lot of the problems that other countries have. And so we've decided that we'll be going to be with Viktor Orban, and he will, I think he'll be a very good host.
President Trump, President Trump, President Trump, right here.
It's in
President Trump.
Hungary, yeah. We're doing Hungary, yeah.
With Putin, is it a trilateral meeting, or is it just you and Putin?
To be determined, but I would say most likely it's going to be a double meeting. It'll be a double meeting, but we will have.
This sucks. I can't hear any of the questions.
Zelensky in touch. There's a lot of bad blood with the two presidents, and I'm not speaking.
They're at
out of
war.
turn when I say it. It's
That's understandable.
Very difficult situation. You know, we just settled the war, and after thousands of years, I guess people say anywhere from 500 to 3,000 years, and I was in rooms, as you saw, because you were with me. A lot of you were with me last week with leaders that didn't like each other, but they were able to get along.
Yeah, there was some crazy video of the Prime Minister of India telling President Trump he was in danger while he was at the meeting in with Israel, or not? Yeah, in the meeting in Egypt to get the ceasefire with Hamas, Israel, and all the other countries. There was like the Indian Prime Minister that got caught on a hot mic telling Trump that he's in danger and his security's not enough. And I was just like, yo, what the fuck? That was crazy to hear. It was a clip on Twitter. I didn't fact check it or validate it. Could have been fake, but it was fucking hilarious. Like, damn, this is pretty bad if someone's telling Trump he's in danger.
These two leaders do not like each other, and we want to make it comfortable for everybody. So one way or the other will be involved in threes, but it may be separated.
President Trump, Mr. President. President Trump.
President Trump.
Was he what? Where are you from?
From Ukraine. Actually had a
Okay, good.
conversation with me
Good, yeah.
today. What if Mr. President Putin doesn't
Another, no idea.
Hungary? What do you do then? Do you have?
Well, let's see what happens. I mean, you know, what if? I think he will. I think that President Putin wants to end the war, or I wouldn't be talking this way. I think he wants to end the war. I spoke to him yesterday for 2.5 hours. We
Damn.
went through a lot of details. He wants to get
All
it
right,
ended.
Pootie, tell me.
I think that President Zelensky wants to get it ended. Now we have to get it done.
President Trump, Kara Castronova from Lindell TV. And although I love asking you questions, today my question is for President Zelensky of
Sure.
Ukraine.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Our President Zelensky, President Trump, just brokered a peace deal in the Middle East that all Americans, both sides of the aisle, are very proud of. But to meet that deal, both sides had to make concessions. Our president has stuck out his neck in many ways to make a peace deal for your war as well. What specific concessions are you willing to make to end this war with Russia? Will you give up joining NATO?
I think that would be the mineral deal.
Americans have foreign war fatigue, and our president, as he
We
said,
have foreign war fatigue. Bro, I've seen a lot of racist shit with people adding blank and then fatigue in the title. I have retard fatigue. That's what I suffer from most. There's too many retards in this fucking world.
we need our tomahawks too.
What was the question?
Me.
Yes, you, President
Okay.
Zelensky.
Thank you
What
very much.
concessions will you
That's
make?
some question, right?
Yeah, it was like a fucking 20-paragraph essay with a single question mark at the beginning.
Question one. Thank you very much for your question. First of all, I think we need to sit and speak. The second point, we need ceasefire. Even
It's
now,
crazy. Half these journalists just have their fucking iPhones and that's what they're filming off of.
see in the Middle East, it's very difficult to hold ceasefire. Everywhere, in every war, it's very difficult.
You can tell Trump's president because he's using my taxpayer dollars to make this office as gilded as humanly possible, not really beating the king accusation. This is definitely what I imagine like a medieval king's dining room would look like. Like there's like some no king's protest coming up, I think tomorrow, and fucking gilded this bitch out all over the place. There's gold everywhere.
Peace. Putin doesn't want. That's why we need pressure on him. We will speak with President today what we need. We understand what we need to push Putin to negotiation table. And as I said previously, so we are ready to speak in any kind of format, bilateral, trilateral, doesn't matter, just peace. This is important.
Peace
We
through
don't
strength.
speak about NATO or NATO for Ukrainians is very important. Of course, it's our decisions of allies to decide where we are.
But are you willing to give
Yes,
up
but
joining
the
NATO?
most important thing for people in Ukraine, which are under each day's attacks, to have really strong security guarantees. NATO is the best, but weapon is very important. Allies on our side is very important, and between us, for us, bilateral security guarantees between me and President Trump is very important. I don't know, we didn't speak with details about it, but this is the most important document because the United States is very strong.
Sir, President Trump.
If they can bring it to the table to where if Russia reinvades Ukraine, everyone else activates NATO, then Russia's going to stop. But Putin's not going to agree to a deal with that. He's only going to agree to a deal where basically Ukraine doesn't go to NATO and they get some form of land or money stipulation, which I think Trump was trying to do with the mineral deal. I don't know why he didn't accept it originally, because that was a pretty good fucking deal for Putin to take, especially since he's been losing this fucking war.
Peter?
President Trump, you are the middleman right now, hoping to end this conflict. Who is doing a better job negotiating, President Zelensky or President Putin?
I think they're both doing a great job in that sense. We have to get it done. We've got to
Get her done!
take some of the hatred of each other. You know, they don't like each other. I say that in front of President Zelensky, but I say it in front of President Putin too. They have tremendous bad blood. It's really is what is holding up, I think, a settlement. I think we're going to get it done, and we have to make it long-lasting. As I said in the Middle East, everlasting, right? Everlasting. And the Middle East is a much more complicated situation. You know, we had 59 countries involved, and every one of them agreed. And it's, you know, it's sort of amazing. Most people didn't think that was doable. This is going to be something I really believe that's going to get done. I had a very good talk yesterday with President Putin. I think he wants to get it done.
And President
Peter?
Zelensky, right behind you. When we were in Israel with President Trump earlier in the week, we heard a lot about the difference in diplomacy between President Trump and President Joe Biden before him. What do you see as the biggest difference in diplomacy between
The difference between the two is the only thing Biden succeeded on was getting hostages released. I think that was the only thing he actually did well, and that was between Hamas. I believe Biden was part of the deal, or at least was making part of the deal for the multiple releases, because this wasn't the first time Israel and Hamas released hostages. This was like the second time or third time, I want to say, was with Trump basically releasing the last of them, and it being all the women or all the men that were left, because all the women got released on an earlier deal. And I think that's the only thing he really did, besides giving Ukraine infinite money. But then he also told Ukraine back in 2016 to stop investigating or stop with their what was it? It was someone was getting persecuted in Ukraine because they were dirty, and Hunter Biden was basically connected to him. So Biden went there to Ukraine to pressure their legal system to drop the case against someone because it would have connected it to Hunter Biden, aka the vice president's son. That was Joe Biden and then Ukraine, and then we have Ukraine coming up in the conflict 5 years later, 6 years later. I don't even remember when the Russian conflict started, but came down the line all these years later, and now all of a sudden Joe Biden's president, and oh, look, Ukraine needs money. Here's Joe, open up American taxpayer dollars, so as much money as you need. We spent too much money funneling the war, and I think we should have had a better deal in place to at least guarantee that there will be some protections on American assets. Because imagine if we had spent a few $1 billion and then Ukraine loses, and now Russia took all of Ukraine. Russia's going to be looking at us next. That was my biggest concern. Because we completely interfered, and then we lost too.
President Trump
If we lost.
and President Biden?
President Trump has a big chance now to finish this war. President Biden now is not the president, so he doesn't have a chance to finish this war. And President Trump is
True.
showed for the world that he can manage ceasefire in Middle East, and that's why I hope that he will do this, and we will also have such big success. For Ukraine, it's a big chance, and I hope that President Trump can manage it.
I would say the biggest difference is one is extremely competent and the other one is grossly incompetent.
Sir, a few weeks ago in New York, when you two met, you said that you think Ukraine could ultimately take back all the territory that it's lost so far. Do you still think that's the case, or do you think there'll have to be some sort of
You
swap
never
of
know.
territories?
Look, you know, war is very interesting. You never know, do you? You just never know. With war and peace. But you
Mama always said life's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna find.
never know.
Are you ready? President Charles, Tomahawk missile.
Please.
Russia calls Tomahawk supply to Ukraine as an escalation, yet it continues using similar cruise missiles like Caliber. And
Yeah.
even
Who are you with?
Who the fuck are you with?
You Ukraine?
Yeah.
Good.
But Russia continue even using the cruise missiles and also nuclear-capable ballistic missiles in Ukraine since 2022. So do you consider providing Ukraine with the Tomahawk or similar missiles as an opportunity to equalize the possibilities of Ukraine and Russia and push?
Are we gonna give them some special missiles?
Sure. We're going to be talking about that. That's why we're here. Okay? Fair question. Exactly as he told you to say it. But we're going to be talking about it. Okay? Yeah, please.
Okay.
You said India and Hungary? That's an interesting. India and Hungary. It's an interesting combination.
Refuse to stop buying Russian oil.
Well, India is not going to be buying Russian oil anymore.
Yeah, they agreed to stop buying
Hungary
Russian oil.
is sort of stuck because they have one pipeline that's been there for years and years and years, and they're inland. They don't have sea. They don't have sea. And I spoke with the very great leader of Hungary, and they are.
He was hungry.
It's very hard for them to get oil. I understand it. Hungary's in a very interesting position because they can't have ports. You know, they're surrounded by land. So we'll see what happens there. But India will not be buying oil from Russia. And, they've already de-escalated, and they've more or less stopped. They're pulling back. They bought about 38% of the oil, and they won't be doing it anymore.
Mr. President Trump has been helping you in achieving peace in Ukraine.
Who has?
First Lady Melania Trump
Yeah.
has been helping.
Who the fuck? Oh, my wife? Yeah.
Ukrainian children from Russian captivity. President Zelensky, do you appreciate those efforts? How do you assess them? And did you ask her to step in and to help you?
No, she wanted to do it. She just felt very strongly about the children, and she's done a really good job, I think, in bringing it to the fore. You know, we have a lot of children involved. Now, it's some people say it's 20,000, and some people say it's 300. There's a big difference between that, so nobody really knows. But she felt
20,000 and 300,000 children missing or dead? What?
very strongly about the children. She thinks about the children all the time.
President Trump, if you okay Tomahawks to Ukraine, what's going to happen if the United States is in a conflict and we need the Tomahawks? Do we have
Well,
enough?
that's
I believe us spending a few $1 trillion a year on our massive war machine can relinquish a few Tomahawks without an issue. Let's be real. Let's be fucking real here. If there's one thing America does with our factories, it's make weapons of war, baby. That's the one thing we spend more money on than everything else in this country. Fuck whatever we're spending money on. We're here to make war. That's it. I think we can give them some more weapons. I think that'd be fine.
That's the problem. We need Tomahawks, and we need a lot of other things that we've been sending over the last 4 years to Ukraine. We've been, we gave them a lot. Now we have a different situation. We send it to the European Union. They pay for it and all that, and they have plenty of money. But it's beyond the money. We need Tomahawks, or we need a lot of other weapons that we're sending to Ukraine. One of the reasons we want to get this war over is exactly that. It's not easy for us to give. You're talking about massive numbers of very powerful weapons. So that's one of the things we'll be talking about. Hopefully they won't need it. Hopefully we'll be able to get the war over with without thinking about Tomahawks. I think we're fairly close to that. Yeah, go ahead. President, yeah, please.
Just to understand. So for today, of course, we want to finish this war, but the war is another technological war. You don't use just Tomahawks. If you want to target a military goal, you need thousands of drones. It goes together with such missiles. Ukraine has such thousands of our production drones, but we don't have Tomahawks. That's why we need Tomahawks. But United States is a very strong production. And
This just sounds like we're about to start the Cuban Missile Crisis all over again. If we give them Tomahawks. This is what this just sounds like to me.
United States has Tomahawks and other missiles, very strong missiles, but they can have our thousands of drones. That's why where we can work together, where we can strengthen American production.
And so just so that I understand, so you're suggesting kind of a trade. If President Trump okays Tomahawk missiles to help you launch,
yes, it's
into
about
Russia,
military goals. It's only about military goals.
Right, but then
Not a
you
trade, just a
authorize some kind
mutual agreed, let's fuck
Yes,
Russia out of
course.
existence.
Yes, we
Ukrainian.
have proposition. Yeah,
And
we have big proposition
President-
with our drones.
President Trump, I don't mean to be brokering an arms deal here, but is that something that you would be interested in, Ukrainian drones?
We are, yeah, we would. We have a lot of drones right now. We build our own drones, but we also buy drones from others, and they make a very good drone. I mean, we drone
They might make good drones, but we make better. American drones, baby.
warfare has really come to the fore over the last couple of years because of this war.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will say,
fucking
there's nothing
terrifying
like the
to see.
jets. You know, we knocked out a lot of drones in Israel. We were knocking them out for Israel, and we were doing it with extremely fast and powerful jets, following the drones and knocking the hell out of them. So, it's, you know, we know a lot about the drones, and we know a lot about the great jets, the great ones. The ones, well, and the B-52s, which were totally they were stealth. They were undetectable. So we have a lot of different weapons. And, you know, I have an obligation
They were
also,
undetectable,
though, to
but I
make
could
sure
see 'em.
that we're completely stocked up as a country, because you never know what's going to happen. In war and peace, right? You never know what's going to happen. So we're going to be talking about...
If you want peace, prepare for war.
Would much rather have them not need Tomahawks. Would much rather have the war be over, to be honest, because, you know, we're in it to get the war over. We're selling a lot of different types of weapon, as you know, to the European Union. We're not in it for that. We're in it to get it over. We're losing thousands of people a week, thousands of people, Russian, Ukrainian, and mostly soldiers. I mean, mostly soldiers. But we're in it to see that end. And if we can end quickly, and I think we can. I mean, I had a very good talk yesterday. We're going to be talking about it. But I had a very productive talk yesterday with President Putin. We'll see what happens. But the war in the Middle East was far more complicated. We got that one done. And I think we have a good chance. I think President Zelensky wants it done, and I think President Putin wants it done. Now all they have to do is get along a little bit.
I was about to say, that's the best two parts. If when you have both parties that wanted it to end, that's a good way to get it to end, right? Like, it has never been a better time for the war to end, is what I'm trying to say. And it seems like it's closer now than it's ever been, but every time they get close, it seems like one of them says something to piss the other one off, like bickering schoolgirls, basically. Stacey called me a slut, like that type of shit. Just one of them's all of a sudden now pissed, or one of them says something out of pocket.
President
Can
Trump.
you give us an update on the trade negotiations with China, or perhaps Secretary Bessent?
Yeah, I will.
Trade
And
negotiation.
I'm going to let Scott do that, but I think we're doing very well. I think we're getting along with China. China's
With
to have
China.
something as of this moment. We'll be meeting in a couple of weeks. We'll be meeting in South Korea.
You think
Myself,
will go forward?
I think so. It looks like it's
South
going forward.
Korea?
I think so. They want to meet.
They want to meet. Not that
I
he
have a
does.
very good relationship with President Xi, and we're going to see what happens. But, you know, for years we were taken advantage of by China very badly. We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year to China. We really built their military, if you think about it. The kind of money that presidents allowed to be lost to China was just insane. And then when I came into office, as you know, I put very severe tariffs. So we took in hundreds.
I didn't know that. When Trump first got into office, he tried to put like some trade restrictions on China and started a trade war with China because of how badly they were just absolutely annihilating all of business in America. That was making it to where it's not viable for any competitors here, which is why they've now taken the stance of we're going to stop all heavy metal export control from our country to force Trump to pull the tariffs off, because the tariffs are working. And they hoped that we were in a position where we wouldn't have a choice and the entire world wouldn't have a choice but to force us to say yes. But Trump's like, nah, fuck that. We can do without your shit. We're good. So be curious to see if the other companies agree or if the other countries agree even. We're a capitalist society. You got to be making money. And if the companies stop making money, society's going to fail.
Hundreds of billions of dollars in my first term from China. Biden let that go because it was so much.
Yeah, he did. Biden immediately let all those trade deals that Trump's had lapse. He didn't enforce them at all, which was fucking crazy because it was guaranteed to bring in money. That's entirely true.
He let it continue, but he gave all sorts of exceptions. And by the time you looked at it, Scott, I would say it was the same
nothing.
thing. He would give an exception for anything. If you got up and went out to dinner, he'd give you an exception. So it wasn't the same thing. But I put on very serious tariffs, and we took in hundreds of billions of dollars. And then I left office. The election was rigged. I left office. And that was
The election was rigged.
Now I come back, and we are.
Have y'all seen that Steve Bannon guy? He keeps making videos and talking about how they're going to ensure Trump wins next year or next election cycle in 2029. Like, they really think Trump's going to get a third term. There's a lot of like far right people that are like, yeah, Trump's going to get his third term for sure. It's going to happen. I'm just like, bro, what? I think it's a fucking amendment that was passed to stop presidents from seeking more than 2 terms. So I don't know what the fuck they're going to say. Unless they can prove that Trump was robbed of his second term or if Joe Biden was an unofficially elected president, if they have definitive evidence to prove that Trump should have been the president during that time, I don't know what else they could pivot off of. That's the only thing that comes to mind. And even then it seems like, well, Trump's serving his second term now. He might have been screwed out of it, and it'll go down in history as the President Joe Biden that cheated an election. But I don't think that would give Trump the rights to another term. I don't really know what their game plan is. I'd be curious to see. Because even when they're asked about their game plan, they're like, oh, we have some things on the book. We're in works on it. We're in works. They just don't say what they're doing. It's fucking hilarious to me.
Very strong position because of tariffs. We're in a very powerful position because of the fact that we have tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be in a very weak position. We would be in a weakened state. But with tariffs, we've made hundreds of billions of dollars, not only from China, but from others. And China wants to talk, and we like talking to China. So we have a very good relationship, and we're going to be meeting in South Korea in a couple of weeks.
Fans staring at us.
I just got back from a long trip. I'm going on another long trip. And Scott, do you want to say a few words on that, please?
Yes, sir. So the entire
Let's start off with fuck China.
From the great perspective the two leaders have for each other. China did a substantial, unprovoked escalation last week. We were unable to get in touch with them. Since then, it's been IMF World Bank Week. They have had working level people here who there have been meetings. The Vice Premier, who is my counterpart, and I will be speaking this evening at around 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then he and I and a delegation will meet in Malaysia probably a week from tomorrow to prepare for the two presidents to meet. So again, I think that things have de-escalated. We hope that China will show the respect that we have shown them. And I am confident that President Trump, because of his relationship with President Xi, will be able to get things back on a good course.
Is the hope for that meeting with President Xi some kind of trade deal then? Or
Could be. Look, I think we're in a very strong position. I think we're in a very strong position. We're getting, as you know, as of November 1st, I could move it up if I wanted, a 100% tariff over and above what we get now. So that would make it about 157%. And China doesn't want that, and they want to talk, and we're talking.
And
I think we'll make a deal that will be good for both. I think we will do something, but you have to understand, we never got anything from China. It was a one-way street. For many years, for decades, it was a one-way street, and they became rich because of the United States. And frankly, presidents that, let's be nice, they didn't know. They just didn't know. They didn't understand what was happening to them. But I understood it. I understood it long before I ran for politics. I used to watch in amazement at how stupid our country was, how stupid they were.
How stupid these politicians are.
Stupid
I'll do it myself.
And that includes with the European Union. That includes with Japan and South Korea. All we want to do is be treated fairly. But the fairly is hundreds of billions and even trillions of dollars coming into the United States. And it's our national security is secure because of tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we would have no national security. So it's very important.
Will you seek China's help in ending the war in Ukraine? Do you need them to put pressure on Russia?
I'll
Will
be
we seek China's
discussing
help?
that, but I'd love to see it ended before that.
President
I mean, I think we have a chance of ending the war quickly if flexibility
What the
is
fuck
shown.
do we need China for
on
that?
behalf- And again, we're not losing people. The United States is not. We're not losing people. We're not spending money. We're getting paid for the, ammunition and missiles and everything else that we're sending to the European Union, but to NATO. But it's very similar. If you look at the countries, I mean, it's very similar. And we just made a very fair trade deal with the European Union, and what we wanted, and we made a very good deal with NATO too. They pay for all of this. That's not what we're in this for. We're in it to save thousands of lives every week. Thousands and thousands of lives. That's why we're in it. And I think
I like that mindset. We're not in this to win this. We're in this to end this. Or we're in this to end this. That's a pretty good way to look at it. If war's bloody, war's dangerous, I just want to save as many lives as humanly possible. That is the most humble outcome. That is the most humble answer to give, I should say. The best outcome's it ends.
I think we have a very good chance of bringing this war to a conclusion.
You're a peace president, and your cabinet has done honestly an excellent job. I think that a lot of people could agree to that.
Thank you.
I'm speaking as someone who lost my father in a war, so I know the human cost. What would your advice be to American
Lost your
leaders,
father in a
world
war?
leaders,
What
and
war?
neocons,
Desert
to,
Storm?
TV hosts who often speak about conflict in abstract or strategic terms, rather
You have a bunch of TV hosts that just basically say Trump's a dictator, he's a fascist, he's the Antichrist. Also, here's him ending war with Israel and Hamas. Here's him ending war between Russia and Ukraine. But he's still a fascist dictator. That shit cracks me up. People just refuse to admit that Trump's doing good. Yes, he's also, it seems like, scamming the fuck out of the government. That we got that video the other day where someone in the Trump administration basically guaranteed, it's got to be someone close to him, made like $180 million off 2 days from insider trading on cryptocurrency, which I didn't know isn't illegal. It's illegal to insider trade stocks. Insider trade crypto? That appears to be completely fair game. There's no laws on the book against it. I didn't know about that either. I realized that when I was talking with one of my friends the other day, because I brought that up, and they're like, yeah, that's not illegal. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, no, stocks are illegal. Crypto, they have nothing on the books for yet for stock or for a congressman about trading crypto. And the reason why is because everyone knows trade wars, at least if you're following the crypto market, every time there's anything announced with trade deals with China, the fucking crypto market absolutely shits the bed. So it was someone in the Trump administration who knew this was going to come and who knew it was going to cause crypto to crash, because every time China's been tariffed or a tariff's been mentioned, the Chinese investors dump all their crypto immediately. So sure enough, as soon as it got announced, all the crypto dumps, and the guy that was placing shorts up to it 50 seconds after Trump putting out his last tweet about it, walked away with the millions. Fucking $190 million, $180 million. Crazy amount of money. Definitely came from the inside the Trump administration, though. He's ending wars, but he's also making generational wealth look like it's chump change to him and his family, I guess.
rather than the human cost and the human terms. Like you
Look,
have.
my only statement is we have to get together. It's a very small group of people. It's the president, and the president. Okay, 3 presidents. And I'm the mediator president. And I'm mediating not an easy situation. It should be easy, but it's a lot easier when people understand each other, and when they get together, and when they like each other. We don't necessarily have that situation as far as like is concerned. Maybe it can turn around. Maybe it can. But in the meantime, we'll have them keep a little bit of distance, and we're going to see if we can get it done. This is number 9. Okay, this will be number 9.
Mumbo number 9.
For me. I've solved 8, including the Middle East. I've solved 8.
Talk about all the conflicts.
This, I thought, would have been among the easiest. We solved. President Putin mentioned yesterday Armenia. All of.
Yeah, I'll be honest. This is a Trump L. Trump not being able to end the Ukrainian-Russia conflict. He was extremely confident he'd get it done immediately. And I guess, to be fair, Zelensky came out with that whole meeting where it looked like it was going to get done, and then said, if you don't give us infinite money, Russia's going to eventually evade you too. And everyone's just like, yo, what the fuck? That doesn't sound like you're here for peace talks. This sounds like you're here to make fucking demands. And that set talks back by at least 2 or 3 months here, obviously. But fuck, man. I want the conflict to end ASAP.
The different wars, he said it was amazing because but the big one that he was surprised that we were able to settle was the Middle East. He thought it was incredible. He was very generous.
I thought it was incredible you got all those countries together.
This should be something we're able to settle. And I think we will be able to settle.
Because he even got Iraq that was shooting missiles at Israel to basically agree to a complete ceasefire and get them to stop shooting missiles. Was it Iraq, Iran? One of those I countries. It's the one that we bombed all their nuclear silos. And then Israel started target striking all of their leadership till they agreed to a peace deal and to cease firing missiles at Israel. That was fucking crazy to me. Because at that moment, Trump basically just showed, if you don't want to listen to us, you're just going to die. I don't know if you're aware of that, but if threatening to kill someone's a good way to get them to stop doing shit. It's one of the most effective manners to dealing with these terrorist organizations, which I figure that's what is happening to Hamas at the moment, because that's what Trump put on Truth Social. Basically, if you don't stop and disarm, we're going to fucking kill you. And then, it doesn't matter how much of a religious zealot you are when you're about to actually face death. You become really rational. It's fucking crazy to me.
Right.
On that note, you will go down as the peacemaker, no doubt, and you will resolve this war.
Well, you know, we resolved 8 others. It's funny how people say that. If you get this one,
yeah, there's people that are just like straight up, Trump had nothing to do with this. He's only done like 1 or 2 wars. I was like, bro, that's more wars ended than a president sees in their fucking lifetime. Most presidents actually engage in more war or invade more countries. I think Joe Biden was also one. I need to look this up. I think Joe Biden started no new conflict under his presidency. Now, conflicts started, but he wasn't the cause of them. Most of the time, like Bush, we invaded fucking the Middle East, and we've been in there forever. Same thing with Obama. We invaded the fucking other parts of the Middle East, too, trying to find Saddam Hussein. Like, there's a bunch of shit that went crazy with that. And I think Trump and Biden were the only 2 presidents we've had in the past, like, 40 years that haven't invaded a country on some grounds. At least, not yet. We got pretty close. I don't know if Trump bombing the fuck out of Iraq or Iran would count. I wouldn't count that as an invasion. It's a strategical strike, right?
every time I do one, they forget about that one. I solved.
I mean, one of them's like between Rwanda and somewhere else in fucking Africa, like the South Congo administration or some shit like that. Like, it's a country two countries I've never even heard of that were at war, and apparently Trump did something and they stopped fighting and agreed to peace. Like, to be fair, I can understand why people don't know about this shit, because the news isn't reporting on any of this shit that Trump's doing in America. It truly isn't. They do not give a fuck. The American news is crazy on what they just completely ignore. So there's a lot of people that don't know. There's a few big people, and there's a few big things that people do know about, like mainly is India and Pakistan. That was a really big one because it was two big nations. A lot of them are a lot of smaller nations. That's the reason why no one's focusing in on them.
8 wars. Go to Rwanda and the Congo. Talk about.
Oh shit! Yeah, literally, I cut him off.
India and Pakistan. Look at Thailand. Look at all of the wars that we saw.
I think it was Thailand and Cambodia.
And every time I solve one, they say, if you solve the next one, you're going to get the Nobel Prize. I didn't get a Nobel Prize. Somebody got it who's a very nice woman. Very nice.
Trump saying she's a very nice woman because on her acceptance speech, she shouted out President Trump and basically saying, I'm accepting this war on your behalf, because she's not a retard that eats American news. And she actually views Trump as a peacemaker, because even if he's doing it for his ego, he's ending all these wars abroad. He is being a peacemaker. If anyone deserved that prize, it would probably be Trump, which is crazy to me. But she was also apparently a peacemaker for Brazil. So it makes sense why she won, because supposedly the time frame of when they select the Nobel Peace Prize is within the first month of the year, the second month of the year. It's basically all the candidates are submitted by February. So if their name's not submitted by February, you can't make it in. And Trump hadn't done anything when he got into office by February. But on that same note, if I remember correctly, Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize on his first term as well. So that means they had selected Obama with him getting into office within a month and immediately said, yeah, let's put him up for a Nobel Peace Prize, which is fucking hilarious. The same reason that they said they can't pick Trump, they did for Obama. Weird, but just thinking out loud here.
I don't know who she is, but she was very generous. So I don't care about all that stuff. I just care about saving lives. But this will be number 9. But every time I solve one, they said, sir.
Yeah, I think he's talking about Fetterman. That's what Fetterman said. He'd be deserving of a Nobel Peace Prize if he can end the war in Ukraine and Russia. Because everyone wanted the war between Hamas and Israel to end. I'm glad we have peace, but I don't actually see a viable strategy where Hamas stays in power. And the moment that this peace deal started, they're immediately executing people in the streets, and there's fucking video footage of it all on the internet, all over the place. I feel like that should have been pretty obvious what they were going to do. Like, I feel like that was the immediately obvious outcome. Like, not to be like, oh, I knew it, but I was like, dude, we're just telling the terrorists, yeah, we'll let you have free reign of parts of this country, and they're immediately doing terroristic shit. Are we really surprised?
If you solve one more, you're going to be known as a peacekeeper. So to the best of my knowledge, we've never had a president that solved one war. Not one war. Bush started a war.
Yeah,
a lot
Bush
of them
fucking
start wars, but they don't solve the wars. They don't settle them. And especially when they're not, when they have nothing to do with us. I saw almost, I guess, just about all of these wars had nothing to do with us. But I saved tens of millions of lives. The Prime Minister of Pakistan said, I saved millions of lives in interceding on Pakistan, and you look at Pakistan and India as an example. That would have been a bad one, two nuclear nations, right? So I say this, this is pretty much the last one, although I do understand that Pakistan attacked, or there is an attack going on with Afghanistan. That's an easy one for me to solve if I have to solve it. In the meantime,
That's an
I have
easy
to
one.
run the USA, but I love solving wars. You know why? I like stopping people from being killed, and I've saved millions and millions of lives, and I think we're going to have success with this.
Man, this is the most dictatorish I've ever heard him say. I love stopping wars. Look at him abusing his power as the president to stop war and violence all across the world. God, what a dictator. Hashtag no kings. Am I right, boys?
War.
Wait,
please.
This, President Zelensky, this is your third time over here. Oh. And by the way, you look excellent.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
For you, by the way.
I'm not gonna lie. Zelensky looks baller in the black suit. I think the black John Wick suit, I think that works on like 99% of men. That black suit, I don't know what it is, but it has just straight aura on it. Anyone that wears it, it's impossible to look like a bitch. Is what I'm coming to the conclusion of, and I need to get myself a black suit.
This is your third time here. How different sitting across from the president is this time versus the two previous times here at the White House, and how confident
Well, JD Vance isn't being a bitch, I'd say that.
are you hearing the success rate of solving these prior wars that he can get this war solved?
First of all, about suit. The same suit because the same president. It's very simple. The next president will have another suit. Yes, about our relation.
Zelensky doesn't actually answer these questions, is all I'm gathering from this. Oh, this president, he is president right now. Future president, they are the future president.
With President Trump, I think we have important dialogues, and I think we began to understand each other. Yes, and I know that President is briefed very well about situation in the battlefield, and he knows a lot what's going on the battlefield in Ukraine, and I think it really helps when you know a lot of things, a lot of details about one or another war. It helps a lot, but we are still in war, and I hope we can manage.
You have been
I think
hearing
it's
that there are some
important.
countries that are not meeting their commitment. You pointed out Spain. They said that like it's impossible.
No,
for
Spain
them-
has not come through. No, Spain has not been loyal to NATO. Spain has been, they're the only one.
Not loyal to
went
NATO.
up
Uh-oh.
to, as you know, I mean, you were at 2% and they all went up to 5%, but Spain disagreed with that. I think Spain should be reprimanded for that. I think it's very bad that they did that, but that's up to them. That's up to NATO and Spain.
From your options, they cannot be expelled from NATO.
Can they or not?
They cannot, according to the treaty, but they also claim that they are protected by the European Union umbrella.
So they're violating NATO?
Well, the other people, many of the other countries are in the European Union too. They're not complaining, right?
So they're saying they can't do what they're supposed to because they're in the EU?
That's interesting.
Yeah, they're saying that they can't comply with NATO because European Union isn't letting them, but all of NATO is basically European Union. Like, we're the only ones that aren't, as far as I understand, right? Maybe Australia too. I think Australia's part of NATO.
They're protected by- Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you, do you think you can carry the momentum from the Middle East deal over to this deal? And if
I do.
So, how does that move the needle?
Yeah, I do. I think we carry a lot of momentum, a lot of credibility. Getting Middle East done was very important. Nobody thought it could be done. That was one nobody thought could be done, and we got it done. And a lot of that was the big hit that we put on Iran with respect to the nuclear. They took that was an unbelievable military maneuver, the B-2s, and many other planes involved, by the way, but the B-2s.
Just the B-2s mainly.
Yeah, I think nobody
Should've seen that
expected
shit. It was
that
fucking
to
crazy. We
happen.
pulled up
And,
on them.
You know, we had 59 countries involved, and these were countries very diverse. You had Arab, Muslim, Jewish. You had every kind
You had
of
the Jews.
you had every country, Christian. You had every country, and many countries involved, and we got that done, and we got it done pretty swiftly after we set the table properly. We had to set the table properly. This should be one that we get done, and I think the table is set properly here now too, and it'll be a great honor. It'll be a great honor to get it done, and the Ukrainian people are great, and the Russian people are great, and obviously they have much in common, as we understand. They have a lot in common, so it'll be a great honor to get it done. Yeah.
On Venezuela, there are survivors from your latest boat strike. What happens to those survivors?
Well,
There are survivors from the latest boat strike. Holy shit.
I'll ask Marco to discuss that possibly.
Yeah, it's well known there's an ongoing narco-terrorist operation the United States has been conducting. As far as details of any recent strike,
We know where they're at. They're about to get hit with another one. Don't worry about that. We've already got more people on the way to send them straight to God. They got lucky. We're going to make sure they don't get lucky a second time.
we're not prepared here to announce all those details, but you'll get that information here very shortly.
And how are there survivors when these are meant to be lethal attacks?
Yeah, again, I mean, we're undertaking these operations against narco-terrorists. That's what these are. These are terrorists. Let's be clear. And but as far as the details of any recent operations, when we are prepared to announce those, we will, as the president has consistently done. So you may get something on that later.
He literally posts the footage on fucking Twitter like it's a goddamn Call of Duty kill streak. Like, yo, guys, got a sick 360 no-scope. That's like the kind of shit he's posting, except it's a video of him blowing up fucking terrorists.
Later today.
Let me ask you, that was in a submarine, right? We attacked a submarine, and that was a drug-carrying submarine built specifically for the transportation of massive amounts of drugs, just so you understand. This was not an innocent group of people. I don't know too many people that have submarines. And,
you guys don't have drug submarines?
That was an attack on a drug-carrying, loaded-up submarine. Yeah.
On Putin, is it your belief, as Mr. Zelensky said yesterday, that the threat of tomahawks and costs, as Secretary Hicks put it, is that bringing him to the table, the fact that it's kind of a carrot and stick?
I don't know what's bringing him to I think he wants to make a deal, that's all. I can't tell you what's bringing him. Sure, that's the threat of that is good, but the threat of that is always there. Tomahawks are very dangerous weapons. They're incredible weapons. If you like warfare, it's one of the most accurate. You know, we hit 30 Tomahawks in Iran after the B-2s did their damage. We sort of gave it a little capper with 30 Tomahawks from a submarine, quite far away actually. But they're an amazing weapon. They're a very powerful weapon, but they're a very dangerous weapon, and it could mean big, escalation. It could mean a lot of bad things can happen. Tomahawks are a big deal. But one thing I have to say, we want Tomahawks also. We don't want to be giving away things that we need to protect our country. We have a very strong country right now. We have a strong military. We have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest weapons in the world. I want to get this war over. Okay?
Putin-Trump tunnel to connect Russia and Alaska. Are you interested?
I just heard about it. A tunnel from Russia to Alaska. I just heard about that one. That's an interesting one. We'll have to think about that.
Want to do a tunnel from Russia to
We just
Alaska?
did a nice road in Alaska that's going to get us to a lot of minerals, and we have a piece of it, a good piece of the ownership because of the fact we made it possible. But this came up yesterday, a tunnel from Russia to Alaska. That's an interesting. What do you think of that, Mr. President? Do you have any ideas? How do you like that idea?
I'm not happy with this.
I don't think you're gonna like it. I don't think you like it.
Hell
I
nah,
don't think-
fuck that. I want a big.
Do you think that Vladimir Putin, do you think that Putin's your gut instinct?
Well, we had a senator that wanted, remember, from Hawaii, she wanted a tunnel from the mainland to Hawaii. Then she said, well, we can't do that, so we're going to build a railroad to Hawaii. Do you remember? She's a current sitting senator, a Democrat. She wants a railroad to go to Hawaii. Right? You know who that is, right? She's another. She's another.
That sounds like such a shit post.
Putin, aren't you concerned that maybe the Russian president is trying to buy himself more time?
Yeah, I am, but you know, I've
Yeah,
been
it
played all
won't
my
matter.
life
We're gonna
by
win.
the best of them, and I came out really well. So it's possible, yeah, a little time.
Is your gut
It's
instinct
all right, but I think that I'm pretty good at this stuff. I think that he wants to make a deal. I made 8 of them. I'm going to make a 9th. I think he wants to make a deal.
I made 8. Let's make it 9.
Well, I think that he should have won the war in a week. Yeah, I do think. And if we didn't give the anti-tank missiles, as you know, the javelins they call them, they got stuck in the mud. They would have been in Kiev very quickly. They were heading to Kiev. So, you know, in war you have a lot of luck too. You know, people, weather has won war, and the cold and the heat and all things.
Yeah, Nazis tried to invade Russia in the winter and lost like all their troops to basically the cold.
Take place in war, but that was a very interesting moment when the tanks started rolling and some brilliant general said, let's go through the mud instead of going down the highway, right? So they got a little bit lucky.
Got 'em stuck
But you
and
know
they
where
got
really
fucking
got lucky?
annihilated.
I gave javelins. That wasn't given by Barack Hussein Obama. He gave them sheets.
Barack
Remember the
Hussein
statement?
Obama.
Obama gave them sheets, and I gave them the javelins. And the javelins are a devastating weapon. And that wasn't given by Obama. That was given by, because at the time it was Obama. That was given by me. So it was like one of those things. And you had hundreds of them. They're a devastating weapon. We have a lot of devastating weapons. I'd rather not use them. But that was a big moment. You know, when the tanks got stuck, they got stuck. And call it luck or call it talent. I'm not sure what you'd call it, but
I think
it
it's
was a big
blind
moment in
luck.
time.
Do you think Democrats will give you credit? Do you think Democrats will give you credit when you finally end this war, like they did with the war in the Middle East? And second
I think
question-
right now the Democrats.
I think they'll do everything but say Trump had a role to play. They seem to just ignore when Trump does anything that's a win. That seems to be their game plan, just to completely ignore it, to act like it doesn't happen. And it seems to be working so far. Yeah, it seems like they're like in a separate reality from normal reality, and whatever they say or they make up is what everyone and every others, like these brain dead people, all agree to. No critical thinking, no questions asked. And I think it's because it's a cult of ideology. I feel like right now there's so much cult thought in America, not just on the left, the right as well, but I'm mainly looking at the left right now. To say that Trump's a dictator after everything he's been doing, after all the laws he's been following, after all the Supreme Court cases that Pam Bondi is winning, that's wild to me. That's absolutely wild.
Democrats are really damaged, mentally damaged. They want to take 1.5 trillion with a T, $1 trillion and give it to people that invaded our country. They came into our country illegally from prisons, from mental institutions, gang members. They want to give them health care and take it away from our citizens.
That is entirely true. So Democrats keep lying about this, and I don't understand why. The big, beautiful bill removed the ability for illegal immigrants to go to the hospital and then for the hospital to get covered on them not being able to pay the bill by the federal government. Because the federal government covers hospital bills from people that they can't really track down. That's why it's covered by the government. That's why it's so expensive. They removed the ability for illegal immigrants to take part of that system. That is what the Democrats are currently shutting down the government for. And yes, I'm saying the Democrats are shutting down the government because they're the ones voting fucking no. I think this is pretty clear. The people voting no are the reason the government's currently shut down. Anything else is just pure fucking retardation and copium. Because the people that aren't voting to open the government are the ones responsible for it being shut down. You could say Republicans aren't willing to come to the table and talk. That's fine. But the ones voting no are the ones responsible for the government being shut down. Like, let's not fucking jump around the hoop here. This is exactly what's happening. And the fact that there's so many people that are just like, it's the Republicans shutting it down. What did the Republicans vote no? No, but they're not. Oh, so you immediately said no, and then adding a qualifier to justify your retardation. Understood.
We're not going to do that. 1.5. I mean, he really has.
Oh,
He
shit.
can do it a lot. They came into our country illegally, from prisons, from mental institutions, gang members. They want to give them health care and take it away from our citizens. We're not going to do that. $1.5 trillion. They want to destroy. They want to destroy our health care system. We're not going to let that happen.
Have you authorized CIA operations in Venezuela as part of
Well, I wouldn't say that, but some interesting things are happening around the world. I'll say that.
Mr. President, it has been reported that Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What could we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, shit. That's the end of it. Trump's the content president. Yeah, he's giving us everything because he doesn't want to fuck around and find out. Trump is absolutely a fucking baller, man. That shit, that's fucking crazy to me. Holy shit. I didn't imagine he'd actually say fuck around. Oh, man. Well, that's the peacemaker. Peace via brute force if you don't want to come to peace. Which is why I'm glad to see what he's doing with Antifa. I think yesterday it announced that Pam Bondi's charging the people with the ICE attack on the facility in Alvarado, Texas. I think it was Alvarado. Sounds about right. For those of you that don't remember, there was an Antifa attack earlier this year. I say ICE attack. Antifa attack on an ICE facility in Texas. It was like 8 or so people. They had a safe house. They had phones. They were organized. They were part of a local Antifa group is what the government is saying based on their devices, what they had. They also identified as Antifa on their social media. Not an organization, guys. Just here's a bunch of them getting together, doing a terrorist attack and killing an American citizen. I think he died. I know he got shot in the neck, and that's getting shot in the neck is pretty critical. So they are being charged with terrorism from what I saw. Pam Bondi announced like the government has formally filed terrorism charges against them in the affidavit put forward against them. So be curious to see what actually sticks and how that ends up in court. But if they get charged with terrorism, hopefully they get the death penalty. Yeah, I'm fine with death penalty for terrorism. Why do we keep terrorists alive? You're a threat to society. I don't want to pay for you to be in jail for the rest of your life. I'll be quite fucking honest. Fuck it. Either way, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Yeah, I know I haven't been posting some videos, but I've been kind of sick and my throat's still kind of shot. So give me some time to recover, and then I'll be back shit posting like I normally do. But thank you guys very much for tuning in. If you like the video, feel free to like this, comment down below, or subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Until then, later.